Unfortunately, Hammerhand cannot make this stream. I did have him in the back, the green room behind the scenes. Unfortunately, though, his internet is so bad that it's basically impossible for him to do anything. So we couldn't even get like basic audio back and forth, even without video. So he's going to get his internet sorted, and we're going to get back into that another time. So I'm going to talk today about the whole Ruth Bader Ginsburg thing. Now, I have seen feminists absolutely losing their freaking minds, like, and I'm not talking just a little bit, but like losing their minds, screaming in their cars, crying over Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And some people say, well, they're overreacting. But based on what they believe, are they? And I'll get into what I mean by this. I don't think they're overreacting based on what their intentions are, because the impact that this has on their intentions is so vast and so far-reaching. Now, look, I've been sort of fairly politically aware for a while now, and while I don't know in super depth exactly how all of the tiny little mechanics of American politics work, so look, there may be some things which I'm slightly off on, but I think overall I'm going to be pretty on point with what I'm going to talk about in today's video, because we all remember the Kavanaugh saga, the false allegations after false allegations after false allegations after false allegations. Now, here's the kicker. These false allegations were disproven, and this was basically a stall tactic to try and find dirt on Kavanaugh so that they could be like, aha, see, we got you. You're not fit to be a Supreme Court judge. But of course, they found nothing, and he was confirmed. So their little tactic didn't work there. So now they've got a 5-4 majority for the conservatives in the Supreme Court. Some people go, well, that's not a big deal, but it's a very, very big deal. Because now that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and look, what I know of her, I'm not a fan, but I don't wish any bad on the dead. So God rest her soul, and good riddance to the policies and changes that she made in many ways. But I hope that she finds peace in the afterlife, if there is an afterlife. But let's move on from that. Now, one of the things that was actually said when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away was that her most fervent wish was that her replacement not be chosen until there was a new president. Now, there's a lot to unpack just in that short little thing, because apparently this was said by Ruth Bader Ginsburg's granddaughter. Now, we all know that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was very much a feminist from the word go, from very, very young. Her mum was a feminist. She was a feminist. No doubt her daughter was a feminist. And there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that her granddaughter would have also been a feminist, particularly if she was a college student, which I don't doubt, given that, the sort of, given who Ruth was. And I truly believe that this wish that it just doesn't sound like Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a very powerful person. She was a very powerful person. I would say that she would have put something out. I don't know, maybe I kind of feel like this is something that she would say out loud without knowing her any better, if she really meant that. I honestly think that her granddaughter made that up, and I could be wrong, and I apologize to anyone if I'm wrong, but I honestly think that her granddaughter made that up so that she could then leverage that emotional point to hopefully prevent Trump from selecting a new Supreme Court justice, because she would have known who the other options for a Supreme Court justice was. She knew her grandma wasn't well. She knew her grandmother had cancer. So she would have known the implications, right? She would have known the implications. Now, as I said, I during this stream, I don't look. I have only just recently started digging into Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I know that this is a rabbit hole. I know this is a rabbit hole, and I know there's a lot that I don't know, and probably some really nasty stuff as well. So I can only comment on what I do know. And I also obviously want to remain YouTube friendly because I'd really like to be able to keep bringing the word about how to help men out to you guys. But this is going to be a touchy subject, so I'm treading lightly. I hope you can all appreciate that. Yeah. So if the granddaughter has come up with this, knowing who the Supreme Court candidates likely are, and I'm basing this off the premise that she was most likely a feminist activist at college herself, that would mean that she was politically motivated to do so. And let me tell you the reasons why she might be politically motivated to do so. Because if Trump does pick someone before the 2020 election, even if he does get voted out, which I don't believe he will, I deeply believe that he's back up for another 4 years, 4 more years, 100%. That's my gut feel. That's what, just like everything here, everything in this physiology, in this brain, in my body, everything's telling me Trump 2020. And I don't even get to vote. So I have no say over it, but I just know. So here's the thing. The Supreme Court panel of 9 has the ability to overturn executive orders. They have the power to veto executive orders. So if you have enough people in that supports a particular political inclination or a particular philosophical standpoint, then anything that opposes that could just be like, bang, wiped out. So even if, for example, Biden were to get in 2020, which, as I said, won't happen, but even if that were to happen, and they were to get, say, Amy Coney Barrett in, someone who's deeply conservative, family of 7, anti-abortion, all of these sort of stuff. I mean, she's young. In as far as Supreme Court justices go, she's fairly young. And these are lifetime appointments. This is not just 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, 10 years. This is until she dies, unless she leaves. So the fact that he's got both, and look, I know Kavanaugh is relatively conservative, but he also is afraid of being attacked again. So he's not really fully conservative in my view. Now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was prevailing over the Supreme Court in some capacity or another as one of the 9 judges at the time when Roe versus Wade happened. And of course, for anyone who is across Roe versus Wade, that is essentially the legislation that allows women to have abortions in America, that decriminalized it. Now, the issue with just having abortions is that for the sake of having it is now we get people using it as a form of birth control. And we've seen this time and time again. And, Dynamite Rabbit says, Supreme Court is only supposed to consider one thing. Is it constitutional? If not, get shit canned, right? So if an executive order put forward is unconstitutional or not in the best interest of America, it can easily be canned, particularly with the conservative panel. Now, if Trump gets Coney Barrett in, we've got 6 versus 3. 6 being conservative, 3 being non-conservative and quote unquote progressive. Even if you argue that one of them is half-half and wishy-washy and sort of sits on the fence, that's still 5.5 versus 3.5. That's still a significant lead when we talk about how that works. And we can see a real agenda here. I've even got a video of Harris talking about Kamala Harris talking about the Harris administration alongside Joe Biden. So she's already telling us that the agenda is to get Biden in so they can oust him, so they can put her in place. She's already assumed the administration. She's already assumed the presidential role, just like Hillary Clinton assumed the presidential role. And one thing very telling in all these videos I saw of all of these feminists screaming in their car, one of them actually said, you only had to make it till 2021, Ruth, which was this chick's way of saying, we know Trump was going to lose the 2020 election, or at least she thinks that he was going to lose it. And based on her presumption that he was going to lose the 2020 election, that means that Biden and Kamala Harris were going to win. And if Biden and Kamala Harris won, then they would have installed a deeply leftist or progressive or communist Supreme Court judge. And if that happened, then that would have essentially vetoed and put things back into balance and given them back a lot of power. So all they now need to do is put fear into the people, the conservatives that might otherwise vote against them, and then get all the leftists to vote in their favor, and they're winning. So, yeah, if we vote, as long as, and of course, Trump has nominated a female, which, look, I have no issue with. They've got four Caucasian women and 4 Caucasian men on the Supreme Court and 1 black guy. So I think to have another male on there, Trump would get accused of misogyny and trying to remove women by putting essentially 6 men and 3 women in there. So he's sticking with getting another woman. I mean, if Biden can do it for his vice president pick, why can't Trump do it for his Supreme Court pick, right? And Victor von Frankenstein says Harris is actually the one running for president, which means Pelosi would be vice president, I believe, if Biden stepped down. That's probably pretty on point, I would say. That would be pretty on point. I would not disagree with that at all. And that would be a complete nightmare. It would be the destruction of America, which, by the way, is their intention. It is their absolute intention. There's no mistaking this agenda that's at play. That's exactly what they're trying to do. And they've been very clear about this. I mean, all you have to do is see some of the tweets going around on Twitter. And look, I know that that's not a reflection of real life all the time, but the people on Twitter are real people, and what they are saying are real opinions. And they've been saying that if Trump nominates a candidate before, like if he gets someone in before the election, they're just going to burn the place down. They're going to burn the place down. And they will. They've been doing it already. They're intentionally trying to destroy all private enterprise, because when they destroy private enterprise, then what they do is they actually create a situation in which public enterprise is the only remaining option. And given that the political left control most of the political establishment, well, then I guess that would mean that they would control the world, and they would control people's employment, they would control people's income, and they would control people's housing, they would control people's freedoms, they would control people's liberties, they would control absolutely everything. Because as Shark Dentures just said, Trump has messed up the elite's plan, and now they are so triggered. They are no longer being subtle about their goals. And look, I know some people don't like Trump, and some of the things that he said in the past, I've gone, dude, it's a little off color. Maybe it would have been better if you didn't say that. And I don't always agree with everything on him. Oh, hang on. We've just got news in. That's apparently, we're uncovering this live. Apparently, Trump has already nominated Amy Coney Barrett, because she was the suspected pick. Right, here we go. Yeah, that's just happened. I'm just bringing up this article here. And the wording in this article, actually, let me just look around my cat's head, which is blocking all of the bit I need to get to here. There we go. Share screen. This is what I've just found. So Amy Coney Barrett has just been nominated to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Now, he said she's a woman of unparalleled achievement, towering intellect, sterling credentials, and unyielding loyalty to the Constitution, unlike most of the political left. Because, look, this is we've seen time and time again that the political left, the elites, they just want to destroy everything. They want to destroy everything. They want to completely get rid of the Constitution. They want to get rid of the rules because right now they have to play by the rules and they hate that they have to play by the rules. I mean, they're still not playing by the rules, but they're being held. People are trying to hold them accountable for it and they're not a fan of it. And on top of all, so not only has, if Amy Coney Barrett goes in before, let me just switch over to this view. If Amy, my God, you can tell I've been trying to catch up on sleep and haven't been very successful. So if they get Amy Coney Barrett in, even if Biden and Harris become the destructive team leading the country, any of their stuff that they try and do executive orders on, they won't get them through. They won't get them through at all. And that's going to really piss them off. And of course, there's no doubt in my mind that Trump will get another 4 years. So what I predict, Trump another 4 years with a deeply conservative Supreme Court majority that oppose abortion for the sake of things like, selecting what sex they want it to be. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Trump also the other day signed an executive order. Now, this is extremely important. Extremely important. Executive order combating race stereotyping and sex stereotyping. I'm actually going to switch over and share this with you because this is really important. I'm actually going to read this to you, and I'm going to put a link to this in the description after this video because I think this is something that's really tells you everything about, the kind of guy that Trump is and what he actually wants to achieve. Executive order on combating race and sex stereotyping. So this would eliminate critical race theory. They wouldn't be allowed to teach it in universities anymore, at least from the title of this, and sex stereotyping. So that would make the Duluth model unconstitutional. By the authority invested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the USA, including the Federal Property and Administrative Service Act, and in order to promote economy and efficiency in federal contracting, to promote unity in the federal workforce, and to combat offensive and anti-American race and sex stereotyping and scapegoating, it is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1, purpose. From the battlefield of Gettysburg to the bus boycott in Montgomery and the Selma to Montgomery marches, heroic Americans have valiantly risked their lives to ensure that children would grow up in a nation living out its creed, expressed in the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. It was this belief in the inherent equality of every individual that inspired the founding generation to risk their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to establish a new nation, unique among the countries of the world. President Abraham Lincoln understood that this belief is the electric cord that links the hearts of patriotic and liberty-loving people, no matter their race or country of origin. I'm on board so far. It is the belief that inspired the heroic black soldiers of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment to defend that same union at great cost in the Civil War. And it is what inspired Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to dream that his children would one day not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And by the way, guys, judging people on the color of their skin is exactly what the intersectional feminists are doing right now. They're judging everything based on whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're a person of color. We hear this all the time. Oh, people of color, white people, white privilege, all of this sort of stuff. This is just divisive language. It's intended to divide. This is the specific goal. Thanks to the courage and sacrifice of our forebears, America has made significant progress towards realization of our national creed, particularly in the 57 years since Dr. King shared his dream with the country. And to those, I mean, people call Trump racist, but he's literally championing a black man. So there's that. Today, however, many people are pushing a different vision of America that is grounded in hierarchies based on collective social and political identities rather than in the inherent and equal dignity of every person as an individual. This ideology, and he calls it out as an ideology, this ideology is rooted in the pernicious and false belief that America is an irredeemably racist and sexist country, that some people simply on account of their race or sex are more important than our common status as human beings and Americans. This destructive ideology is grounded in misrepresentations of our country's history and its role in the world. Although presented as a new and revolutionary, they resurrected the discredited notions of the 19th century's apologists for slavery, who, like President Lincoln's rival Stephen A. Douglas, maintained that our government was made on the white basis by white men for the benefit of white men. Geez, doesn't that sound like feminist rhetoric to you? Our founding documents rejected these racialized views of America, which were soundly defeated on the blood-stained battlefields of the Civil War. Yet they are being repackaged now and sold as cutting-edge insights. They are designed to divide us and to prevent us from uniting as one people in pursuit of one common destiny for our great country. Interesting. Unfortunately, his malign ideology is now migrating from the fringes of American society. No, it's not the fringes. It's the media. It's the institutions. It's the universities. It's our educating institutions, and I use that term "educating" loosely. From the fringes of American society, and threatens to infect core institutions of our country, instructors and materials, teaching that men and members of certain races, as well as our most venerable institutions, are inherently sexist and racist, and appearing in workplace diversity trainings across the country, even in components of the federal government and among federal contractors. For example, the Department of the Treasury recently held a seminar that promoted arguments that virtually all white people, regardless of how woke they are, contribute to racism, and that instructed small group leaders to encourage employees to avoid narratives that Americans should be more colorblind, or let people's skills and personalities be what differentiates them. Because basically ignoring the fact that someone is a certain color and treating them as a human being, or celebrating the fact that people are different and differentiable, able to be differentiated. Apparently those two things are racist and sexist. Here we go. Training materials from Argonne National Laboratories, a federal entity, stated that racism is interwoven into every fabric of America, and described statements like colorblindness and the meritocracy as actions of bias. Materials from Sandia National Laboratories, also a federal entity for non-minority males, stated that an emphasis on rationality over emotionality was a characteristic of white males. You hear that, guys? Being rational, right, instead of emotional, is a white male thing. And because white males are bad and sexist and racist, then so must be rationality. And therefore, we need to revert back to emotionality, because guess what? Guess what, sheep? We can control you easier if you're emotional. And they also ask those present to acknowledge their privilege to each other. Get the fuck out of here. A Smithsonian Institution museum graphic recently claimed that concepts like objective, rational, linear thinking, hard work being the key to success, the nuclear family, and belief in a single God are not values that unite Americans of all races, but are instead aspects and assumptions of whiteness. The museum also stated that facing your whiteness is hard and can result in feelings of guilt, sadness, confusion, defensiveness, or fear. All this is contrary to the fundamental premises underpinning our republic, that all individuals are created equal and should be allowed an equal opportunity under the law, right? Not skewed by affirmative action that disadvantage some people and advantage others over them. Right? Allowed an equal opportunity under the law to pursue happiness and prosper based on individual merit. And you see, this is why these diversity trainers want to remove any mention of how we should recognize merit. Because if we don't recognize merit, then we can just recognize feelings and work off intersectional feminism. Whereas if we recognize merit, then we actually have to put color and gender aside, of which there are only two, by the way. We need to put color and gender aside and essentially say, okay, well, you have the right credentials for the job. You're hired. And no woman would be able to turn around and go, well, but there's not enough women in this field. We need more women, and therefore I should get hired even though I'm less competent. No. Bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And the same would go for men if they were not capable of a particular job. All right. Smithsonian's Institution Museum graphic recently claimed that concepts like objective, rational, linear thinking, hard work being the key to success, the nuclear family, and belief in a single God are not values that unite Americans of all races, but are instead aspects and assumptions of whiteness. The museum also stated that facing your whiteness is hard and can result in feelings of guilt, sadness, confusion, defensiveness, or fear. So let me get this straight. Here's some assumptions of aspects and assumptions of whiteness. So rational linear thinking is whiteness. Objective thinking is whiteness. Well, so black people can't do that? Sounds pretty fucking racist to me. Hard work being the key to success. It is an assumption of whiteness. So you mean that black Americans who work hard and believe that working hard is the key to success instead of being lazy fucks that sit on their ass and demand everything be given to them, somehow that is that makes them not white? Sorry, not black? Like, are they going to go do a Joe Biden saying, well, you know, if you've got a problem working out whether you're going to vote for me or Trump, you ain't black? Are they going to do that to them? This is the most racist shit I can imagine, honestly. So all of the attributes that make people successful, that lift people up, that help people to up their game, apparently all of that is white. Can't possibly be black. Can't possibly have anything to do with, you know, someone's character and not the color of their skin. Am I right? All of this is contrary to the fundamental premises underpinning our republic, that all individuals are created equal and should be allowed an equal opportunity under the law to pursue happiness and prosper based on individual merit. Executive departments and agencies, our informed services, federal contractors, and federal grant recipients should, of course, continue to foster environments devoid of hostility grounded in race, sex, and other federally protected characteristics. Wait. That means that people who receive universities who receive federal funding will no longer be able to teach any of this crap. Great success. Training employees to create an inclusive workplace is appropriate and beneficial. The government is and always must be committed to the fair and equal treatment of all individuals before the law. I have no problem with that. But training like that discussed above perpetuates racial stereotypes and division and can use subtle coercive pressure to ensure conformity of viewpoint. Such ideas may be fashionable in the academy, but they have no place in programs and activities supported by federal taxpayer dollars. Amen. Research also suggests that blame-focused diversity training reinforces bias and decreases opportunities for minorities. I agree. Our federal civil, just like everything the leftists do, everything they do has the opposite effect. So let's bring in a program which ignores all the reasons for violence in the home and pins it on male privilege, and then let's complain and ask for more money when 10 to 12 years of pushing that same tired old horse without addressing any of the real root underlying causes. You know, when it doesn't work after 10 years, we're just going to get more money and ask for another 10 years worth of funding so that we can spread propaganda and create division and hatred and keep pushing our lies and our misinformation that half the time we don't even realize, right? That's the angle they're coming from. Federal civil service is based on merit principles. These principles, codified at 5 U.S.C. 2301, call for all employees to receive fair and equitable treatment in all aspects of personnel management, without regard to race or sex and without proper regard for their constitutional rights. Instructing federal employees that treating individuals on the basis of individual merit is racist or sexist directly undermines our merit system principles and impairs the economy of the federal service. Similarly, our uninformed services should not teach our heroic men and women in uniform the lie that the country for which they are willing to die is fundamentally racist. Such teachings could directly threaten the cohesion and effectiveness of our uniformed services. Such activities also promote division and inefficiency when carried out by federal contractors. Federal government has long prohibited federal contractors from engaging in race or sex discrimination and required them to take affirmative action to ensure that discrimination does not occur. The participation of contractors, employees in training that promotes race or sex stereotyping or scapegoating similarly undermines efficiency in federal contracting. Now, this goes on for a while, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because you guys could probably read it in about maybe 5 to 10 minutes just by scanning through. It'll take me a lot longer to read that because I have to somehow make it legible or audible and able to be interpreted while I'm speaking fast, and I just don't know if I can promise you that. So I'm going to share this in the link below. Now, while we talk about this, right, I want to bring up something else, something quite specific. And it sort of relates back to what I was just talking about with regards to sex and gender stereotyping. Here we go. US Selective Service. Let's talk about this because this all ties in together, guys. All of it. Just going to stop that. I'm going to bring up. This is if you could only see my hand right now, I've literally got my hand flat against my cat's face, pushing it out of the way so I can actually see where the share screen thing is. He just doesn't want to get away from the heat vent. Here we go. Selective Service. Who must register with the Selective Service? This is on usa.gov/selective-service. Almost all men aged 18 to 25 who are US citizens or are immigrants living in the US are required to be registered with Selective Service. US law calls for citizens to register within 30 days of turning 18 and immigrants to register within 30 days of arriving in the US. So this is even immigrant men as well. Men in the US on student, visitor, or diplomatic visas, and women are not required to register. For other exemptions and for transgender people, see the Who Must Register chart. So let's have a look. Who must register? Okay, there's something special going on with. Okay, I don't know what's going on with the website. It's not displaying properly. They need to fix that. But let's unpack this, right? 18 to 25. And there's actually, by the way, there's actually penalties. There are specific penalties for people who do not register. It doesn't actually. Here we go. Male citizens born after December 31, 1959 who are 18 but not 26. It tells you who does and doesn't have to. I really wish that I could show you underneath this what it actually says. But basically, in a nutshell, if you do not join, let's see if it's got it. Here we go. What happens if you don't register for Selective Service? This was actually what I was after. If you are required to register, so if you're a man between 18 and 25 or an immigrant male and you're fit to serve, and you don't, you will not be eligible for federal student aid. So you don't get student loans if you don't register for the draft. You don't get federal job training if you don't register for the draft. And you cannot get a job in the government if you don't register for the draft. You may be prosecuted and face a fine of up to $250,000 and or jail time of up to 5 years if you do not register and you're 18 to 25 or an immigrant and you're male and you're able-bodied. If you're an immigrant to the US and you don't register, you will not be eligible for citizenship, even if you meet all of the other requirements. So I think that we should actually make women between the age of 18 and 25. Look, you know what? I think guys learning military skills is very beneficial. I think it is. And while it's shit if you have to go to war, look, I know that women are not as on average, women are not as capable of serving in the military at the same level as men are. And it's not because they can't do it intellectually. It's not because they don't have the ability to learn the same knowledge that men do, but they're physiologically different. So I'm going to put this forward. I'm happy for everything to remain the same for men. Let's even if we don't change anything, even if we don't restructure what we just saw, what if we just put one little thing in there and say, well, women are also required to register if they want government jobs or student loans or federal job training. And if they don't register, then they just won't get government jobs or any student loans or anything like that. I reckon you would fix almost all of the country's problems within 10 years. Almost all of them. There's still going to be problems, 100%. I know it's a long process. Feminists have been at this for well over 150 years. But if we did that, we could essentially drain the swamp, drain all of the gender studies and critical race theory degrees in conjunction with Trump's executive order out of the universities. Right? So once you remove all of these Marxist and communist theories, make it essentially against the Constitution to be taught in government or fed by government funds, well, all of these industries dry up and people don't study them anymore because there's no point. Because no one will hire you anymore. You can't be a diversity trainer. You can't be a you can't be a writer for a government any media outlet which receives government funding, because they won't have the money, because they'll lose their funding and they won't have the money to pay you to spout bullshit. So yeah, to summarize, I don't believe that Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that her most fervent wish was that they wait until Trump's out, basically, to hire another Supreme Court judge. I believe that no matter who gets in for a long time now, they're going to have a big struggle to get any executive orders through that will push their leftist agenda. I think even if Biden got elected and then Harris got put in there, it would just be one more reason why you should never, ever, 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 ever vote for leftists ever again. All right. And for all of the talk of toxic masculinity, for all of the talk of men being violent, right? It took thousands of years for men to kill billions of people collectively over all of the different wars that we've had, but took less than 100 years for women to kill 1 billion kids by way of abortion. And look, I'm going to stay out of the abortion debate. I've got views both ways. I'm on the fence. Mostly, I don't think it should be something that's encouraged. I don't think it should be something where it's promoted. I think that in instances where there are serious birth defects, it should be an option, as long as it's not done too late in the piece. I also think that it is something where you shouldn't be allowed to choose, like opt out just because your kid's a boy. I saw the other day, I don't know where it was. I think I've actually got it here. I may have it in my pictures. I took a screenshot of it. Here we go. I'm pregnant. Having a scan soon to find out if it's a girl or an abortion. Now, this same person, so they've tweeted that on May 23rd. And on July 23rd, both this year, by the way, she said, "Men, if a woman accuses you of grapefruit, even if you didn't do it, you shut up and accept the charges. Women have been systematically oppressed for years, and you giving up some years of your freedom doesn't compare to the oppression they've been through." That sounds like the kind of thing that Kamala Harris would do. Could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Anyway, glad that RBG is no longer in the Supreme Court, regardless of what the reason for her not being in there anymore is. I'm just glad she's not there and will never be there ever again. I'm glad that it looks like we're going to have a conservative majority in the Supreme Court for a significant amount of time. I'm very, very glad that the conservatives have got majority control of most of politics at the moment, because it's all of the institutions that are not in the US government that are actually really seriously trying to. I mean, you've got people in the government who are trying to attack conservatives and people who are logical. But at the end of the day, it's the all of these bodies that are taking federal funds. That's how they're trying to do it subversively. They're trying to take federal funds to push their own agenda and create activists who will hopefully get into politics and change the course of politics. But the thing is, most people just want common sense. Most people just want common sense. Now, this was actually quite funny. I've got a little screenshot here that someone sent me. Where was it? It was basically of some chick's Tinder profile. And this is everything that's wrong with the world. So this is by a girl called Eliza. Her name's 19. She's 19. So as you can see, like, this is, it's actually, it's just a screenshot here. This is not my Tinder, by the way. Eliza, 19. I'm like a microwave, easy to turn on, warm inside, and if you put a baby in me, I will kill it. This is what happens when you teach women that pregnancy is oppressive, you teach them that babies are bad. Like, this is what they're getting taught in university. They're not hiding it. They're not even trying. Why would they hide it? They don't want to hide it. They've got no interest. In fact, let me see if I can find this chick's Instagram here. Here we go. And look, and see, this is dangerous, guys, right? Because this is the type of girl. And you know what, guys? Honestly, people are going to say, well, you shouldn't be sharing people's private Instagrams. It's like, no, this chick is all over Tinder and she's putting her Instagram out there. Guys, don't you fucking simps, don't follow her. All right? I'm not following her and you shouldn't either. I just want to share this with you. Share screen. Shark Denture says the irony of RBG, she is pro-abortion but anti-2A. As I said before, I'm not so. I think I don't know what 2A is specifically. I'd have to have a look at what that is so they could comment. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that this chick is putting all over. Right, this is the type of chick who's telling you that she's going to kill a baby if you put one in her. So these girls are posting photos like this all over the internet, luring you in. No doubt a simp paid for the simp who's feeding her that strawberry paid for the holiday. There we go. She's got, God, it's probably her contraceptive pill there. You can tell she's going to hit the wall real hard later. So guys, some of you dudes are chasing chicks like this because they're hot. And look, she's good looking. Don't get me wrong. Except for that nose ring. But she's just such a hoe, my God. If you see a chick with an Instagram like this, run. Run. Do not stick around. Do not put an unsheathed penis inside her. In fact, just avoid it altogether. Here we go. White Australia has black history. That's back to what Trump was talking about, the divisiveness around race. All right, these are the girls you gotta watch out for, guys. I'm telling you. These hoes. Anyway, guys, thank God that the timing happened the way it did prior to the election. And no one, what are they going to do? Say, oh, Amy Coney Barrett Amy Coney Barrett grapefruited me 40 years ago. Get the fuck out of here. Confirmed. And you can't touch her. Anyway, guys, look, I know I dragged things on a little in this, and maybe that's because I'm just tired and not really thinking properly. But I've had this in my head, all of this stuff about Beta Ginsburg. It's been going on for weeks, and I'm just like, I need to talk about this, and I need to, show you what's going on there. Hang on. Paul West, I dated a girl for 2 years and found out she had a boyfriend for 6 years and I was absolutely crushed. His family owns a $10 million law firm, and I know she was only with him for the money. I exposed her. Wow. I mean, look, I look, if you were just like, slamming her here and there when she'd hit you up for 2 years, I mean, look, she was never yours to begin with. She was just cheating on. But the fact she was dating you for 2 years, like properly dating you, while she had a boyfriend for that long, it's not cool. Peter Smith says, Sydney, put your head down, get your head down, mate. Grab some Z's. I will do that today. I promise. I will do that today. It's sorely needed. And Victor put a comment up there. I don't want that to be picked up by the algorithm by me saying it, so I'm just going to share that on the screen. But yeah, I also agree that there will be arguable reasons for terminations. But the issue is where people lie about the reason for a pregnancy. Because with the way that the system is, with the Duluth model, if you are accused by a woman of doing something, like let's say, for example, a woman says, JL, thank you for the super chat, brother. Says Christine Blasey Ford. Amy Coney Barrett was the other girl at the party. I remember now. I mean, who knows? Maybe Amy Coney Barrett wasn't even born when Christine Blasey Ford was at the party. Oh, right. Okay. Paul West just says, Sydney, we're talking about visas. She lives in Melbourne and I'm in the USA. Okay. So it was an online relationship. Guys, don't do any long-term online relationship. And you can't blame her. You honestly can't. Like, if you were in an online relationship with someone for 2 years, right? Don't tell me you're not going to go and, get laid if you can, if there's someone that's, paying for all your shit and is really attractive and whatnot. I mean, we'd do it the other way around. It's just that we don't have as much of an opportunity. And so it's not something that's kind of conditioned into us. And Angus says, from my ex-wife, her mother told her, never forget she was sitting on a gold mine. I'm guessing you are the gold mine, Angus. Far out. That's crazy. And Dynamite Rabbit says, appointing a new justice to the SCOTUS is the president and Senate's constitutional duty. That's routine. The Democrats try to change the rules daily because they're losing. You are absolutely 100% correct. By the way, speaking of them losing, guys, Meghan Markle, she's been wanting to have so much political influence. Like the whole time we knew she was just she even said before they even got married, I'm going to use my royal platform to further my feminist activism. Maybe not those specific words. Delta Dan says, I just want to buy my ginger brother a beer for the weekend. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. So this is something I came across. In fact, you know what, guys? I'm going to finish up on this stream. I'm going to do a new one just now, and I'm going to smash it. I'm not going to go for another 45 minutes, but this particular thing I'm about to do a stream on, it needs a video of its own. Meghan Markle is considering running for president in 2024. Guys, I appreciate you all. Thank you all so much. If you want to support this channel, head on over to sydneymuktower.com/brave and download Brave browser. the Chrome alternative with the same functionality with more privacy, and it costs you 0 zip zilch. All right, guys, I'm out of here. If you want to donate crypto or PayPal or however else you want to do it, you can always super chat, but everything's in the description below. I'm going to bounce and I'm going to jump on and do another one. So for those of you who want to hang around, sit tight. For those of you who have had enough for the day, I appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.